Hello everybody, and welcome to the first ever Knight4Hire Yu-Gi-Oh! 13 Things list. That's right, I'm going to list 13 things under a certain theme. And since it's Valentine's Day today, I figured the perfect theme would be card waifus, aka cards that we have a sentimental attachment to because of their pretty artwork and other things. Of course, now there is some criteria to get on this list of waifus. Not just any card waifu is going to appear here. The first is that the card's artwork must, 1, be identifiably female. This is not a husbando or a bro list. There could be some semantic problems there, but we're not going to talk about that. And that the artwork must also be visually appealing. Whether that be that they are sexy artwork, whether it's cool artwork, or whether if it's cute artwork. It needs to follow one of those criteria to get on this list. Because we're going to start off vain with our criteria, apparently. Number 2 is that the card must promote its archetype in a positive way. We don't want a waifu that's in the way and doesn't provide anything. Relationships are give and take. So, certain cards, unfortunately, aren't going to make the list, even though they're classic, but we'll get to that here in a minute. And then this third criteria might bother some people, but this is my list, and as such, these are my 13 card waifus from my decks that I actively play. As such, there's going to be certain cards that should easily be on this list that just aren't going to make it, because I don't play those decks. And we're going to talk about one or two of them briefly along the way. So as an example of a card that's not on the list, but is a good way to talk about the criteria and why certain cards don't make it, we're going to talk about Dark Magician Girl. Yes, she's a classic staple of waifu talking here in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan base. Ever since she appeared in the anime, people have been impersonating or cosplaying and playing with the... this went darn dark hill. So, instead... why doesn't she make it on the list if she's so classic? Well, that comes down to the fact that she's not even really played in Dark Magicians anymore. I play her in my little casual build I play, but most of the time she's just a brick and just in there because I want to run her for right now until I buy better cards. And since Dark Magicians aren't high on my list, I just haven't bought better cards for the deck that can replace her out. Sooner or later I will, though, and it will be a sad, sad time. But that's why she's not on the list. Now, another example I'll give real quick for failing of the third criteria is, of course, when we go down to Beatrice the Eternal. Oh, I'm sorry, Burning Abyss players, but she is not going to be on this list for one reason and one reason only. I don't play Burning Abyss. It's a good deck. It's a good deck. I just haven't experimented and built it out and played it, so I can't include her if I have no relationship to the card. Sorry. But anyways, let's get into this list so we can get through this and everyone can go back to their Valentine's Day things. I know my PlayStation have a date here in a little bit. So, the first cards we're going to talk about, because I put these in an order of kind of where, if they were in a ranking, this is sort of how I would rank them, but it's not a hard ranking, because I didn't think about it too hard. The first card, oh, I forgot. So, another thing I did to myself is, why is there more waifus going to be on this list talked about than 13 if this is a 13 list? It's because I limited myself to archetypes. If there's 2 that I think should be on the list in an archetype, instead of getting a separate entry, they are sharing an entry, because otherwise a certain archetypes might fill the entire list. So with that out of the way, let's get into our list. The first cards we're going to talk about are, of course, the Charmers. This is the actual card I want to talk about first. Yes, Charmers. So, why am I holding up Lena the Light Charmer instead of the Hida I have is simple. Lena is the actual winner out of the deck. The main reason is that, if for anyone who doesn't know, Charmers, when they're flipped face up, steal an opponent's monsters that match the attributes. That puts 4 of the 6 really kind of useless in certain situations, the most common being Dark and Light attribute that makes Lena and Dark the best. As Dark is a male person, that kind of puts him off the list, so Lena wins because of how useful she is. But honorable mention has to go to Hida because Aesthetically, she's one of my favorite charmers, so I wanted to include her. I absolutely love Hida and love her in all the fan art, and I looked through a lot of charmer fan art. But I absolutely love her, but fire attribute is not common enough to actually promote her on the list. Although she did get the Link monster first, hopefully it does not take them 5 years to give us the other 5. And hopefully they actually give us the other 5. Because I gotta say, if these effects on a Lina and a Dark card would be amazing. But moving on from charmers, we're gonna move on to our next one. Dark Illusion... Apprentice Illusion Magician. Apprentice Illusion Magician is taking the place of Dark Magician Girl on this list. One, I personally like her artwork better, actually. I think she looks better. But the main reason is that she's actually played in Dark Magicians. So that's a huge boon. She can also search your Dark Magician, so she's a good card to throw in. I personally run 3, but I know a lot of people who only actually run 2 and maybe even only 1 of this card. It's really up to preference on how you want to go. I mean, none of us can argue what the Tier 1 version of Dark Magicians is, as they've failed to be Tier 1. So, but she wins out because she can special summon herself, search out your Dark Magician to get your plays going, and she can sacrifice herself to boost up the power of your other monsters to get in and either finish a game or beat over a strong monster. Overall, a really good symbiotic relationship with some great artwork. So, next up on the list is, of course, Galatea, the Orcust Automaton. Now, I know you're gonna be like, but Knight, you said one of the criteria is that they have to be identifiably female. Well, she is. She's based off of Ip of the World Chalice, which makes her identifiably female. She may be a doll, but with my love of mecha and robots and everything like that, if we deny her being a waifu material, that means all of the women from Nier Automata are also eliminated from being waifus. And that will cause a war. So she gets to be on my list. Now, why isn't she higher, though, if I'm pseudo-ranking them? Well, although she's really good and a great searcher to get out your Orca spell and trap cards so you don't have to litter your deck with too many of those to try to hard draw them, she isn't the big hitter of the deck, which can put her pretty low. Orcust is doing better in the meta currently, but again, it's not really because Galatea is such a great card. So, although I love her artwork and I love the lore surrounding this card, she doesn't get to be higher in the rankings. But she is absolutely adorable and awesome with her scythe, and her ability to search out spell and trap cards for her archetype does get her pretty high on the list. That's really good, and she is a link rung in the link ladder in her archetype to lead into the others. But again, unfortunately I can't rank her higher without her being a truly fearsome card in her deck. Next up we have Tour Guide of the Underworld. Now, again, she is great in Burning Abyss, and she probably would lose out to Beatrice even though she's an amazing playmaker in the deck. But if you're running a rank 3 engine, there's no reason not to really run a Tour Guide if you can. If you're running rank 3 things, you run Tour Guide. There was a time when this card cost more than my corpse to buy. So, I mean, she's an amazing card. For anyone who doesn't know, when she's normal summoned, you can special summon a level 3 Fiend monster from your deck to the board, but its effects are negated. This is amazing in Burning Abyss because it stops it from blowing up and allows you to go into Dante. She's limited for a reason. Rank 3s, I mean, if you can special summon a Fiend, level 3 Fiend Tuner, you can go into a 6 play. I mean, there's other combos. These are really simple combos here, but she is amazing. You can look her up online and easily find out how amazing of a card, and she's adorable. Absolutely adorable. We can only hope Police from the Underworld or some of the other Underworld cards, like, get good in design, and then we can slowly but surely build ourselves of the Underworld deck. So moving up the list here, we've got Traptrix Rafflesia. So yes, technically I know that the pretty girl is actually a luring trap to a giant monster plant that wants to eat me. I kinda don't care for this list. Otherwise I'd have to exclude multiple cards because they wouldn't be spellcasters or warriors. But anyways, more importantly, she's an amazing rank 4 that's splashable in any deck, and if you're running trap hole cards, especially stuff like, you know, Bottomless, she is basically setting on your board, defending you, and can allow you just to pop stuff right off of right when they get summoned, just vanish and gone. She was an amazing card in hat format. She's a decent tech choice here, but I don't see her really running around in the meta too often. But she's in a great boss monster for her deck, and overall a good monster to run in if you're running rank 4 with trap holes. If you're not running trap holes, obviously don't run her. Duh. But she's adorable, she's got a great effect. Let me make sure that I'm not ignoring. Yeah. So, she's also unaffected by trap cards while she has material, and trap trips monsters you control except her can't be destroyed. I kind of always forget about that a little bit, because she's usually the only one on board on most decks. But, anyway, so if you've got a board of trap tricks, they have to destroy her first, otherwise they can't touch anything. And with her setting at 2,500, can you really go wrong with having her on your board? Absolutely not. And if you're running pure trap tricks, she's absolutely amazing. I wish I played the deck more often than I actually do. I usually just play it online off and on. But a good card for any trap tricks deck. Next up, we have Aether, the Heavenly Monarch. Another limited card. She's absolutely amazing in Monarchs. Like, she is so good. The fact that she can just special summon out an Erebus to help you out on beating out the front. That Erebus goes back so you can tribute her to get it out, to use its effect to go back to the hand. The fact that she can summon herself out on your opponent's turn. And it's a tribute summon, so it'll trigger off all of your Monarch stuff that when a tribute monster goes through. She's amazing. I don't really know how to promote her more. And she is identifiably female. I know she's in armor, but she's in female armor. I mean, it's kind of hard to argue what the Monarchs really are anyways. They're all weird armor creature things. Anyways, stop judging our waifus for not necessarily showing a bunch of skin or something. I hear you typing judgments. But as said, Aether is an amazing monster in Monarchs. You're not really going to see her too often outside of Monarchs, of course, because most of her effects revolve around Monarchs sending spell and trap cards to the graveyard, which allows you to start using Pantheism and getting the Prime Monarch set up. She's an absolutely great playmaker. I just wish her deck didn't brick so hard. Maybe if we had her in Pantheism back at 3, maybe it wouldn't, but I don't even know if Monarchs would actually take off, even if that was true. Konami, why don't we try it? Put her out? Put her free? All 3? Probably not. So, up next is a deck I, again, don't play as often as I should, and mostly just play it online. So, we've got Cosmo Farm Girl. Absolutely adorable artwork. I mean, I'm not even really sure if I want to say adorable. She's a cute card with an amazing effect, and she's also part of the Goggle Club. She wears goggles. I used to wear goggles every day in high school. The only reason I don't really wear them anymore, unfortunately, is they don't look as good with the glasses on. I mean, it looks fine. It just doesn't look nearly as good as it did when, I was like this every day. But more important than whether or not if her artwork is wearing goggles or not is her effect. I have seen multiple people, as soon as they see a farm girl hit the field, just want to give up because of her OTK potential. So for those who don't know, I'll go ahead and read her off to you. During either player's turn, you can banish this card and special summon one level 4 or higher Cosmo monster from your hand. You can only use this effect of Cosmo Farm Girl once per turn. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can pay 500 life points and add a Cosmo card from your deck to hand. So, what does that mean for Cosmo Farm Girl in the OTK, you say? Well, of course. She can attack, deal damage, you pay 500 life points, search a Cosmo card, and then you tribute her and move up. And basically repeat the process. Not all Cosmos search when they deal damage or something, but you can just move up and up and wipe out basically a player's life points, especially with, even if you fail, you're probably ending on a Dark Destroyer, and that is enough to make this little girl pilot This girl, one dangerous pilot. Up next, we have a personal fan favorite of mine. Not fan favorite, but a favorite of mine. I am a fan of her. She has won me so many games, even though the deck she's in isn't exactly tier 1. And that is Vampire Fraulein. Vampire Fraulein is an absolutely amazing card that can be ran in any zombie build that you're running, basically, and is exceptionally powerful in vampires, which I really like playing the vampires after the support that came out in Dark Saviors, obviously. So when a monster declares an attack, you may special summon her from your hand in defense mode. And when a zombie monster you control battles an opponent's monster, you can pay up to 3,000 life points, and your card, your zombie, will gain that life you paid in attack points. So she can basically make any card run over a Blue Eyes. I would say she could run over a Crystal Wing, but Crystal Wing will negate her effect. Because Crystal Wing is an awesome and terrifying card, Dragon Waifu confirmed. Not really. If I had a Dragon Waifu, we all know it'd probably be Black Rose Dragon. But anyways, Vampire Fraulein's effect, it can really turn around games, and since it's not a hard once per turn, between her and Vampire Vamp, you will see OTKs out the wazoo, because it will turn your little Unizombie into like a 4K beater, and if you have Vampire Domain on board, which the Vampire Engine will search out for you extremely easily, it's very consistent in that, you can gain all damage that your vampires deal back as life. So you will pay 3,000, and if you've already running over that monster, you will see 3,000 come back to you. Absolutely amazing card. Especially also since you can put her in attack mode later, and she can use her effect on herself, of course. She is a zombie monster and there's no stimulation there. So, I mean, if they can't get rid of her and your other vampires, you are going to win very quickly after she touches the board. And if her and Vampire Vamp touch board at the same time, you are probably looking at either an OTK or that game is going to be finished very quickly. Up next is a deck that I play online a ton, and I've been slowly but surely building out, and I can't wait to play it. Deli the Beard Beast hates it. It's, of course, True Dracos, and of course, it's gotta be Majesty Maiden. I really don't see a reason not to run 3 of her in a deck. I mean, I could be wrong, and you guys could be in the comments saying that you should only run 2 because the others are better, but this girl, whenever your monster activates an effect, will search you out one of your other monsters. Whether that be a bigger beater or one of your other guys that have set up with a control. She's an absolute amazing card in that way. And if you use her in combination with the trap cards, you will get out that monster that you search, probably on your opponent's turn. She's an absolutely amazing card with some gorgeous artwork. The foil on her is absolutely amazing. I love how she looks on her card. Like, before I decided I wanted to play True Draco, I knew I needed to buy one just for my own personal collection. And after testing out True Dracos online a lot, I do enjoy really playing the deck. It's not one of my favorites, but I do enjoy playing it. It's just so pretty. Oh. Okay, up next might hear a resounding groan from most of you, but as you guys know, Construct is now unbanned, so I've had to move on from #FreeConstruct. She is at home in the extra deck. That's sitting about 4 inches away from me right now. But I had to move on. And who have I moved on to in my crusade? Well, that would be Dragon Mama. And for those of you who don't watch Let's Builds or haven't seen my Let's Builds, Dragon Mama is Zodiac Trident. I know, I hear it, I hear the groans, I hear the complaints, but hear me out. Outside of the advantage build that was taking over the meta, which is more Broad Bull's fault, not Drident. Drident at 1 isn't that bad. Yes, a multiple Drident board is awful. Awful to play against. But without Broad Bull and without 3 Rapiers, Zodiac advantage isn't as strong. And when you're looking at the beatdown variant, which is what I play, Trident is a very handy utility tool and gives you either a turn 1 thing to end on, or you can go into it if you need to pop and open up the board to go for an OTK or to put more damage on board. She's an absolutely amazing card. Trident is considered so oppressive because you can discard or detach a material from her, target 1 face-up card on the field, and destroy it. Now, some of you who only play in the current meta might be wondering if that's so good. And in the modern meta, it really isn't. In my opinion, Trident in the modern meta wouldn't do anything. No one's gonna start running the Zoo engine just to get Trident. She used to be really disruptive. But what's she going to do now? Pop Colossus? That's not happening. Yeah, she could pop one back row if she can even get her effect off. As soon as she tries to pop anything on Sky Striker's back row, they're going to chain Widowmaker if they know what they're doing. And that will put Trident at 0-0 for the rest of the turn, and her effects negated. And if it's on Sky Striker's turn, you're just opening the door to 2,000 damage, or 1,500 depending on what they have on board. If they're playing the other stuff to get even bigger beaters, you're in for more trouble. And like Altergeist, she's not going to disrupt Altergeist. I mean, right now, Ash Blossom can't stop combo decks anymore. How is Trident going to stop all the combo decks in their tracks? I mean, now, back in her format, she was dangerous. So dangerous, you needed to run enough ways to get rid of her to outweigh how often they could get her on board. And if you're wondering how consistent getting her on board was, there was basically like a 90% chance a Zoo player was going to end with Trident. It was so consistent of an engine, you splash it in everything. That's why Zodiac is arguably a tier 0 format. It wasn't the only pure deck being played, but you put the Zoo engine in everything just for Trident. So, enough talking about Tridents. I'm gonna probably actually make a video dedicated to if Trident can come off the ban list, comparing her to all the current meta decks and everything of that nature. Moving on, this is a waifu that is in kind of a funny position, and that is a Zold. On an artwork standpoint, it is gorgeous artwork. I absolutely love Arthurian lore. It's my favorite folklore / legends. So to see this artwork and the Zold thing being brought up is amazing. I absolutely love it. I could fan about it for hours. But why is this a tricky pickle, this little Link 2? Well, most of you know her in the Degeneracy engine. The Dark Warrior builds that ended on things like Rongo, are topological, and basically turned warrior decks back into a meta tier pick, as they were just churning out boards of craziness. They may run equip spells just because she can search out, special summon a monster out using it, and then that combines her with her other Degeneracy partner, who is not on this list, of Summon Sorceress. I do love a Zold, but the main reason I love a Zold as a waifu and everything else is not just the gorgeous artwork. It's not just that she's a good meta pick. It's not just that she's related to Arthurian lore. It's that because you get a search and a summon off, it allowed some older warrior decks to step up their kitchen table playing. I'm not going to say it makes them tier 1 or anything. Heroes aren't tier 1. But Destiny heroes can use her to get fusion materials in their hand. E-heroes and evil heroes can use her to get the materials those specific materials they need to get their monsters going. She allows warrior decks to play, and what she does for Noble Knights is amazing. Yes, the warrior engines that use her are degenerate and can be very powerful. But we haven't seen her banned for a reason, because she's not necessarily the problem card itself. So moving on, everybody should kind of knew these last picks were coming, and why they're ranked so high on the list. So let's go into the second to last entry. Here, we've got one of my favorite meta decks currently out, even though I don't play meta or competitive. You guys probably know what that is if you've been with the channel for a long time. We've got Sky Striker Ray. And before we all start yelling, Kagari should be on the list because she promotes the archetype better, you're only picking Ray because she's adorable, or you're only picking Ray because without her the deck couldn't play. The actual reason I'm picking Ray is because Ray is the one who's wearing the armors in Kagari, Shizuki, Kaina, and Hayate. So she really is the corner of the archetype. She is the archetype, basically. So, we've got adorable, awesome artwork. She can link off into a monster, and then if that monster is destroyed, she comes back and can tribute herself off to go into a link. So she gets recursion, she has recursion, floating abilities, She's an amazing card that is the cornerstone without the deck. Without her, we could not play Sky Striker. And I love that deck. I really do. I know some of you groan, but it's a very fair deck for what it does. So she had to make it on this list. She's adorable, she's powerful, she's the cornerstone of her deck. That's top tier card waifu material right there. But there is another deck that I have a soft spot for that happens to have a couple female boss monsters. So let's move over into the top pick. And you guys should have already known this was coming. Anyone who has seen more than a few of my videos should know that what this shared last entry is. So first we're going to talk about the honorable mention, let you guys throw some lettuce at me, and then we'll move to my final entry. The real final entry. We've got El Shaddoll Construct. She's free. I'm so happy that she is free. I love playing Shaddolls. I love that she's back. I'm a little depressed that everyone has decided that without playing Shaddoll Thunders, there's no reason to even try to play Shaddolls at all. Come on, guys. Experiment more. Surely we can find a way to make Shaddolls better without relying on just play Thunder Dragons and nothing else. She's an absolutely amazing card. She works in great synergy with being able to run Ghost Ogres or Effect Veilers and Shaddolls because they're light monsters that if you can't use their effects to negate or destroy monsters on the board, you can easily go into Construct with your other cards. She also works really well in my Prediction Princess style build because Prediction Princess is a light attribute. I have barely modified the deck with her coming out, although I am planning on making a 2019 Shaddol update video when I figure out what build I want to run, but it's probably going to be pretty pure, because I'm dumb like that. But why is everyone going to be mad? Well, because the Construct is the waifu of Shaddolls. But there's a card that I have a little bit more of a sentimental attachment to overall. For anyone who hasn't watched the channel or any of my older videos, specifically Let's Build Shaddolls, I left Yu-Gi-Oh! For a long period of time right at the start of Duelist Alliance. Right at the start of Duelist Alliance format, the last thing I did was I bought one of the 10s, and the only Shaddoll card I pulled was Shaddoll Hedgehog, and I didn't even really pay much attention to Shaddolls. I left the card game only buying some product like the legendary Dragon decks, the legendary Yugi decks, the Battle City decks. I turned into a super casual who only really cared about watching the anime on occasion. I did build out a small Odd Eyes deck at one point and upgraded my Photon deck at one point, but we're talking way back when Arc 5 was still in its early stages. Pendulum Magicians weren't even a thing yet. So when I came back last year into Yu-Gi-Oh! And got back into it pretty hardcore, I was so mad that I stepped out of Duelist Alliance format. I missed Construct, and when I came back she was banned and I couldn't use her. I could use her on Legacy of the Duelist, I could use it casually, but I couldn't use her any other way. I was so disappointed. So because of that, my attachment to Construct isn't as strong as it is to the actual number 1 pick. So my number 1 card waifu should have been easily identified. Should easily understand why these other ones didn't make it onto the top. Anyone who's watched my deck profiles already should know she's in the background of all of them, and that is El Shaddoll Winda. El Shaddoll Winda is an amazing card that locks your opponent down, and you down to only 1 special summon for a turn, which, honestly, Shaddolls can survive just fine. And you can do some shenanigans, set up a good board, and then go into her to lock your opponent down to 1 special summon. With El Shaddoll Fusion on your board, you get to laugh as your opponent tries to do things. I at one point was playing against someone running the Sky Striker engine, activated El Shaddoll Fusion, went into Winda when they activated their Hornet Drones. They had activated Hornet Drones, I went into Winda in response. They had their 1 special summon for the turn, and they basically set 1 other monster and passed, because they were relying on that engine to get their deck going, and Winda stopped it. Now, Winda's protection effect and everything is really good. She cannot be destroyed by card effects. She can be ran over and she can be banished. Now, she isn't super good against certain decks. like Thunder Dragons, because Thunder Dragons can basically just drop a Colossus on board for one special summon, attack Winda and run over her, and then go on to the rest of their plays. And Sky Strikers do have outs to her as well. Not as many, though. It is a little bit harder for Sky Strikers to get over her. Altergeists, they do special summon, but not in large quantities like other decks. Now, combo decks can struggle with Winda, because they are so reliant on dumping a lot of smaller extenders and a lot of smaller monsters on their board to get going, that once you prevent them down to 1, they have to get rid of her or their deck will roll over. I'm not saying she is a win-all deck, or win-all card, but she is really strong for them, and I cannot promote that enough in Winda. Winda Lockdown is a serious threat, especially if you can get Winda and Darklaw on your board. There's been multiple times I've had opponents just scoop just because of those 2 cards. Darklaw is so oppressive because it stops the graveyard shenanigans, Winda stopping their special summon shenanigans. I've had them just scoop with those 2 on the board, and it's not actually that hard to get them on. Just make sure to get Darklaw first, and then you have to bring him back. But I mean, really, you don't even have to get Darklaw first. You can just Shaddoll Fusion, get Winda, summon a Shaddoll, form change, and boom, there you go. It's not an unbeatable board, but it is, like, I've seen some unbeatable boards recently, like fucking 5 negate boards, but Winda is a great lockdown card, and as a level 5 with Falco, you can go into level 7 plays. I love her. She is an awesome looking card. She is, in my opinion, the best card waifu. But that being said, those are my picks for the 13 card waifus that I think are the best right now for decks that I play. Now, if you have your picks, put them down below. Start a discussion on what you think would be the card picks. Tell me if you think there are cards in those decks that you think are better waifus than the ones I've picked. Tell me my waifus are trash. I don't really care. This is kind of a community channel, even though it's a very small one, and those kind of things are what I enjoy. I mean, I've had people respond to Let's Builds with, those plays hurt my eyes, and what is this build? It hurts my eyes. It was the Crusadia video, by the way. And I still responded to them, because I enjoy that. Please put your feedback and your lists down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, and have a suggestion for a top 13 or just a 13 that you would like to see, put that down in the comment section as well. Well, with that, I'm going to head back out to figure out how the hell I can get Baby Dragon to work. And I will see you guys after Cuddles Month. See you guys later, and hey, have fun.